It's block 855545. That's a lot of fives. Welcome to the Art of Freedom. You're listening to the only Bitcoin art show, the weekly Bitcoin art show that goes behind the stories of the artists, their art, and this incredible revolution that we call Bitcoin art as well. Um, Hope you are all okay after a crazy experience over in Nashville. And today we've got an amazing show in live for you. First and foremost, I have to welcome my wonderful co-host, Florencia. How are you doing, Flo?
Hey Rebel, I'm doing good. After resting because the conference was a lot, I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm still. I gotta be honest. I'm still. I think I picked up something because there was a lot of hugging going on amongst a lot of Bitcoiners, and it's just a case of I've definitely probably caught something, and the tiredness thing on top of it as well. So, but yeah, I'm here, and I'm just kind of just in a bit of a chill place at the moment. Are you back in Chile?
Yeah, I'm back in Chile and it's very cold here, so I'm missing the hot weather. And yeah, I hope you feel better soon. That's so bad. I thank God I didn't cut anything because between the stress and all what it happened there, being ill, I think it would have been too much.
Yeah, it's an incredibly fun time, but it's an incredibly emotional time as well, isn't it? With you got preparing this piece, you're getting it there, you're meeting all your friends, you're happy, and everything's good, and then you've got the auction, and there's anxiety around that, and then you've got the lack of sleep from the jet lag and everything like that. So it's an incredible journey, but it does take it out of you. And I'm not young anymore, Flo. I just can't do it like I used to.
Now you are young. And what is your, before we start with our amazing guest, what's your sentiment after this conference? How do you feel after this new experience?
I think that's a great question. My sentiment is that Bitcoin art is stronger than ever. I think having talked to a lot of people there, um, first of all, they weren't aware of Bitcoin art, which is a wonderful thing because that means people are becoming more aware of the art form themselves. I also think talking to people, they said the coolest people to hang out with were the art people and the open source devs as well. So that was awesome as well. So we've got a good reputation as a community, and I just think it's just awesome. I don't know. I can't describe it. The community is strong as ever. The art being produced is incredible, and I genuinely just think we're just getting started with it, and it's in an awesome place as it is at the moment, and it can only get more popular as Bitcoin becomes more mainstream. How about you?
Yeah, for me, I think the most, well, always hanging with the artist whatever I can. This conference was very different for me because I was also working, so it was kind of weird not being in the gallery the whole day. But it still was an amazing experience. I learned a lot, and I came back home so inspired with so much ideas and wanting to create new stuff and practice my whatever skills or technique, like with this. I want to create better, I want to create more, so that's a happy feeling.
Yeah, I've come back with the same as you, really inspired just by our fellow artists and the event and the people we met. And I'm just waiting for the energy to come back so I can go again and do it again. And then Amsterdam is just around the corner, isn't it? So it's literally 2 months away. So it doesn't stop, but it's great. And if you haven't gone to a Bitcoin conference, I would strongly suggest you do in the future. So one person that I missed and wanted to be there is our guest today. Um, she is an incredibly talented artist, a great spokesperson, not just for art, Bitcoin art, but art in general herself. Her pieces to me are really unique, and um, what I love about her art is that each it's so unique, different, uses different materials, methods, media, and all tells a fantastic story. And so, without further ado, I would like the long overdue welcome of Yonat. How are you doing, Yonat?
I'm good. I'm good.
I was half tempted.
Still have little bits of FOMO from not being able to come.
Yes, we really missed you, Yonat. There, we
Yeah.
really missed you. We wish you were there. You were there in spirit, in spear, as the case may be. So we you were there with us. You were there with us, and we definitely missed you as well. Florence, you haven't thought about this. We probably should have done the show in Spanish today. Maybe that might have been a better option.
Ah, I didn't know that Janet speaks Spanish as well. So yeah, we're switching to Spanish, boys.
That would be great. I'll just smile.
I'll probably have like a few Spanish words coming out because I'm used to speaking in Spanish. So,
But
but we can translate it later.
No problem, Yonat. I'm just going to go along with it. I'll smile and nod. I'll give the heart emoji, and I'll pretend that I understood what's happening. And then Flo can, our Spanish expert here on the Art of Freedom, she can fill in all the blanks. So, but as I said earlier, it's an absolute joy to have you on the show here. I've been meaning to get you on since it started. For me, one of the most unique artists in the whole of the Bitcoin art space. So, how would you introduce yourself to the people that perhaps do not know the art of Yonat Vaks?
Um, wow. I think my art, what I try to do with it is to kind of tell the story of Bitcoin through other stories. So I think history, doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And I think, Bitcoin is something that is completely different and it's going to change the world. But there were, like history, there were other things that were completely different and changed the world. So I like to take stories and stories just of other things and artifacts and with all of the things that they have inside and tell the story of Bitcoin and kind of do it in a way because I think one of the big things in Bitcoin is that it uses like memes are a big part of it. It's like this serious thing. It's an important thing, but it spreads through laughter and through memes and through like just funny things. So I kind of like to take the memes in Bitcoin or the story, about the culture, and then talk about it in different layers. And the layers are if it from artifacts, from paint, from collaborating with other artisans that aren't necessarily Bitcoin oriented, but this kind of like brings them on board. So I'd say that that's kind of my work, is just telling the story of Bitcoin through its culture and through different um, just through other stories.
have you been able to orange peel these other artisans and people you work with?
Um, Well, I've been able to get them open-minded about it. It's really hard, I think, to get to people that aren't, because I think a lot of artisans I work with, first of all, are older people, I'd say, that people, I look for people that are really, really good in their craft. And then they hear that this is, like I'm taking their craft and turning it into a Bitcoin story. And at first they're like, yeah, I don't know about this thing, but then, I'm sure it at least opens their mind to it, to thinking about it. Then they talk to me about it, like, especially the harpoon, like the guy who did the harpoon, the spear itself. we've been, this is a project from like 2019, and I've been making harpoons ever since. And every time he like, says something else about it. So I think it opens, I don't know if he's ever bought Bitcoin, but I think it like opened his mind to it.
Yeah, because it really is
So
a hard thing. Um, and I don't think it's only because of age. Uh, the friend who helps me create the screen printings, so I go to his workshop and he teaches me and he helps me with the materials and all of that. And I tried to orange peel him so badly, and like I even like got him to download a wallet, and like, hey, let me pay you with sats, and he's got like a tiny amount of sats, and still is like, it still doesn't get it. So I'm wondering, am I really bad at orange peeling, or is it really that hard?
I think people have, because of like how it's presented in media. Like, for example, when I did the hodler cape, because every time I do these pieces, I actually go to the place, to the origin of the place where these things are created, and I talk to the people, and to the hodler cape is like a cape that's very special in a certain part of Spain, and I talked to the organization that is like in charge of conserving like the conservation um, of this ancient artifact, and to the seamstress. So I designed it, but the seamstress who created it, she's been doing this for all her life basically. And I made this, and they really got on board, and um they put it in all of the like the local newspapers. And I got, like, there were people that got really, really angry. Like, they said they took it to, like, I'm saying bad things, or like I'm using their heritage to promote a scam, to promote like this, you know terrorist or whatever kind of thing, and at first I was like, I laughed at first, and then I got really upset, and then I thought, okay, this is like a great opportunity to actually talk about what Bitcoin really is to people who just hear like bad things in the media. And it turned into this whole thing. And actually, because of going first to the organization that's in charge of the conversation, see the
The conservation?
the conservation of this piece, they kind of had my back, and they did another article about this, and that it's not what Bitcoin is, and that's not what I'm about. And so it was kind of like an opportunity to get to a lot of people who were really, really upset about it. So
Yeah, that's very interesting because I think, yeah, you had to went through it, and it can mean a lot of stress, and it can be like a lot in the moment. But I think that might have been a very impactful piece of yours. I had no idea about that story. So I wonder, like, for example, what do you think is like our, do we have like how can I put it? Like should we be orange peeling people? Like being artists, our communication role is to try to convince people, or it's just we do this and whoever catches on, then cool. What do you think? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think in a way, I think it's both things. Like, for me in the beginning, it wasn't about orange pilling other people. It was about telling a story. Like, I think, like my first kind of thing I wrote about my work was that whatever this story is, it deserves to be painted. Like, it deserves to have a place in the world. And because I think that's kind of what art is. If you look at art throughout history, it's about documenting what is happening now in the world. And for me in the beginning, it was that. And I think now this is like, I'm working on something new that I don't want to say a lot about it because it's very much in the idea part, but I really want to take my art and my art about Bitcoin and go to, I think like the people I want to talk to is more like women and of all ages that are not into Bitcoin, because I think a lot of Bitcoin art a lot of people in Bitcoin understand it and they love it. And, like I have people, my family, for example, they every time I make something, they want me to explain it. And I'm like sometimes I make a piece and I don't even tell them because it's just, I can't, I don't even know where to start to explain this. And, these are people that I explained to my family, my work, and they know about Bitcoin and but it's so hard to explain all the different layers. And I want to now to continue what I'm doing, but also do another kind of series that goes out to people who aren't at Bitcoin at all, and try to find a way to bring them there. So I think in a way it's both. There is a place for that. Yes.
I agree with you, Yonat. I've been musing on this lately, and by the way, I think if you're targeting women in particular, that is amazing because one thing I will say about Nashville is that it was a bit of it was a sausage fest, and we do need more. More women represented in Bitcoin. Definitely, I know Flo is a keen member of Women in Bitcoin as well. And you only needed to actually look at the toilet situation to figure that out. There were queues coming out the men's toilet, but no queues out the women's toilet. Where else would that?
Yeah, I remember that in Miami in 2022, I think it was, or
So it's
yeah,
about
hasn't changed.
it hasn't changed much. It's still male dominated, and I think that's great. But going on to your point there, I've been musing about this a lot. Creating some amazing Bitcoin art pieces. But am I creating it for the bubble? Am I creating it for Bitcoiners or pre-Bitcoiners? And I guess as an artist, I feel that I have a duty to represent Bitcoin amongst my community. Just as you're doing there. I mean, getting three artists, I believe it was, for the harpoon involved, trying to get more people on board. I think it's an incredibly important thing for us to do as artists because we are kind of the Bitcoin marketing department. I mean, do you agree with that?
I do. I think a lot of people, see Bitcoin art and it opens their eyes to it. I do have, I had like on my I'm not really good on social media, but on my Instagram, like I do put my work up and there is responses to it. And I do think that, yeah, definitely that it's a way to show what Bitcoin is, um, visually. And I think that's really important. And, kind of going back, like I wasn't in Nashville, and I wish I could see all the art that was there in person. But just looking at the gallery, what I thought that was so amazing, apart from the amazing art that there was, like everything was so high level. But also when you look at all the pieces, you realize that each artist has their voice. Like each piece was completely different. They all talked about the same thing, but each piece was just completely different. And you can, I think we can look at art today. If we look at a slide of just Bitcoin art without saying who the artist is, right? You can say this is, this is Rebel Money art, this is Flo, this is Ryer, this is, you look at the art and you see, and it's so incredible to see that we all talk about the same thing, but everyone has their own voice. And that creates a place where each, person from the outside world maybe can connect to whatever whatever speaks to them, whatever kind of art speaks to them.
I think there's a very astute kind of connection you made there, and very much so. being around that gallery, and it was like all the Bitcoiners as you had in there were actually conveying this message of of freedom, of kind of kind of sovereignty, and but just doing it in a weird and wonderful ways. That you go around the gallery, you had, you said, like, Raya's piece, which was really, really striking. The dots, etc., with Trump and the Silk Road, and then you had Flo's piece there, which separation state of money, sorry, church and state as well there. So it's there's so many artists that as you go around. You had Carol, you had CA Dana's stuff on the wall there. It was a great celebration of what Bitcoin art and a snapshot of Bitcoin art culture today. Just a note to everyone who's in the room. This is the art of freedom, and we do encourage you to interact with the show and ask guests, and anything you would like, and any comments that you may have. Just reach for the kind of speaker button here to kind of come on, or if you're kind of a bit shy and you want to stay anonymous, that's perfectly fine as well. There's also the message in the bottom right hand corner which you can kind of message, and then we will actually get around to reading out what you have to say. So where do you see the place? Because you are a full blown artist, and you've done lots of talks around, I suppose, the traditional art space as well as Bitcoin art, etc. Where do you see Bitcoin's art role at the moment, and where are we in the kind of history of Bitcoin art? Are we early? Are we kind of maturing? From a more traditional arts point of view.
I think we're definitely maturing. Like, again, as I said, like, I think the work in the gallery was definitely at a different level from before, and I think all of us are like taking it to different levels. I think there's artists that have been in the space for a long time, and there's a lot of artists that I think in 2021, for example, in the bull run, there was a lot of art that was just bees, like Bitcoins, and when you look at the gallery that was now in Nashville, of course there were, the Bitcoin symbol, but the art was about so much deeper levels, right? And so I think it's definitely maturing. I think it has. I'd say we're at the end of the beginning.
That's very interesting. So you think this is the kind of the first stage? I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm nothing against Bitcoin B art. I think
No, of course not.
everyone's got to express themselves in a certain way, but I think it's a very astute kind of observation that once you a bit like anything, once you kind of start observing something, you look at it on its surface and you see what it is. I mean, a great example is the Cassatius coins back in 2013, where it was the Bitcoin B symbol on it, and that was the kind of the peak of Bitcoin art approximately around that time there. And then it's gradually, surely, people have now just not thought of Bitcoin on a kind of monetary level, but also societal level as well, and how we interacted with humans as humans, and so it's more of a, I suppose, would you say it's a kind of a spiritual connection to Bitcoin?
The art, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a spiritual connection and a cultural connection and a historical connection, and it just, yeah, the art is showing everything that Bitcoin is, not just, it's not just about a new form of money. It's everything that it brings into the world, right? It's everything that Bitcoin can change in the way we live in the world now. I mean, we're living in a time that we're seeing everything kind of collapse around us in a way. And, and Bitcoin is this little glimpse of hope, bigger than a glimpse, but this piece of hope, and the art is showing that, is it's showing everything that it brings with it.
Yeah, about that, I really love how we are seeing more and more of this, how artists are embracing like more deep concepts that we're seeing in Bitcoin, or maybe they're how they have always been there, but we are like now starting to create more about them. And I wonder, like, can we be a part, like, can we be actively part of the change we want to see in the world? Like, can we through culture, through our arts or whatever, can we push forward these changes that we want to see in the world? Or are we only a manifestation as artists? Are we only are we just reflecting what we're living? And since we're living more in a Bitcoin standard, this is what we reflect.
Well, I think sometimes, like, if when you reflect something, in the end you're showing people how the things can be different. So I think that be the change, and then the change happens. So I think it's both things. I think when you reflect what the world, when you reflect how you're living your life and how things can be different, that's how people grab onto that and see that and say, oh, wait, there is hope. Things can be different. And wait, the system is corrupt, or the system is wrong, and there is a new way. So I think by living it, you're creating an example of how things can be different.
Incidentally, Yonat, you just kind of reminded me of a story from Nashville. So I was very kind enough to be able to host the whale morning on the first day, which went really well. There's approximately 20 people attended, which was great. To get as many people down there nice and early. I started talking to this couple that were down there, and I didn't realize they were together, first of all. So I started talking to the lady and the couple about art, and it was right by your harpoon, actually. And then I started talking to the gentleman then, and then that happened. They showed them around the gallery, etc. And then on the last day, as we were packing up, I don't know why they were there, but I started talking to them, and they actually said, the husband said, I've been waiting so long, talking to my wife around Bitcoin, and just through Bitcoin art now, she's beginning to understand it, and she's actually loving it. So I think that's a testament kind of to all our work that
Wow.
we've done, that we're doing as artists, and we can all take that forward as we are making a difference in the Bitcoin space. And I'm pretty sure that couple there did purchase a few pieces of art there that is going back with them, and so we are making a difference in this Bitcoin landscape. People don't just learn from talks from Michael Saylor or wherever it might be; they also get orange pilled by the artists.
Yeah, it's even just even if you look at just the transaction itself of buying a piece of art, that we all accept just Bitcoin, and if you want to buy my piece, then you have to, if you don't know yet, you have to learn how to use Bitcoin. I mean, even that, it's a way to say, look, you can actually, this has a purpose. You can use this, and this is how it's done. And it just takes off, that it's whatever they heard in the media, or I think even if you just look at that, at the transaction itself, like if that couple, if maybe that was the first time she used Bitcoin, you say, hey, I mean, for me, the first time I sold a piece, it was like, wow, this is incredible. I coming from the traditional art world, right, where everything is such a long process, and this is just realizing what peer-to-peer money means, just through the fact of making a transaction.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Rebel. Do you want to say?
No, I was just going to ask you, and so from me, I've had humble beginnings as a kind of doing a street artist, and then come over to Bitcoin art. But I was just wondering if you could give an insight into, this is maybe a big question, how the Bitcoin art scene differs from the traditional art scene. What's the main differences between the two?
I think the main difference, like if we're looking apart from the art itself, if I think the main difference is the transaction, or the peer-to-peer part of it. For me, that's the biggest part, to just be able to say, this is my art, and I don't need to be in a gallery. And with a gallery, I mean, you can say like scarcity, it works as a kind of gallery, but it's completely different, right? It's not, you don't, in the traditional art world, to get into a gallery, first of all, it's like this whole huge process. You usually have to know someone, to just have them even look at your work. And, it takes it's like a whole process to even get a show. And then when you get a show, sometimes you don't even know who your collectors are, and you don't get a chance to talk to them. And here it's, you can just post your art and have someone that likes it just DM you and talk to you, and it's not this big, I see now, even, if you look at the scarcity like banter channel, there's artists that say like, I have art, I want to show it, and then someone from the team is like, just send us your art, let's see it, right? And that doesn't work like that in the traditional art world. So I think that's a big part of it. And for me, I mean, there's obviously so many other parts of it, just how the art is, and that collectors can just see your art for what it is, and there's always proof of work in all of these works, and it's not about this long I don't know, book explaining what the art is, and someone in the gallery telling you, oh, you should buy this because it's a great investment. Like, I have a feeling that most of the people that buy Bitcoin art, it's not for the investment. It's just because they like it and they want it in their house, and they want to support Bitcoin art because they understand the importance of it. Like, I think there's a lot of things that are different in the world. Like, sometimes in the traditional world, you feel like you're just an asset, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of people buy your art because they like it as well, but it's different in that way, I think. But for me, the biggest part of it is the peer-to-peer nature of it.
I think I agree with you. I think the relationships that I've built up between myself and my collectors, etc., would I haven't been in the traditional art world, but definitely feel I'm closer to my collectors in Bitcoin, and I have regular conversations with them. I shoot them messages. And having that bond closer between the artist and the collector is special as well. Don't get me wrong, I think some people maybe enjoy the mystery of not seeing who or what the artist is, but sometimes it makes a piece more special. I mean, that's what good art is, isn't it? It tells an incredible story, and part of that story, the artist is definitely one of the key protagonists, as part of that. And going back to what you said around the value of people collecting it for the sake of it, and I think I'm gonna write an article on this, because I think it still boggles the mind, really. So if you think about it in terms of this, Bitcoin will always go up more than your art ever will in terms of price, except for maybe Crypto Graffiti's Black Swan piece, which went for 0.0000000001 sat, something like that, whatever it was. But except for that piece, every other piece it will go up will not go up as much as Bitcoin, which does mean that your collectors are buying your pieces because they enjoy the art. They are there for the message. They are there for the emotion, and it's something that's great. That you don't have to think, "Ah, am I just a commodity? Am I just here to make someone else rich?" As the case maybe, it's not. It's you. People are buying it because they truly believe in what we are doing, which is promoting this message of freedom and a better future.
Definitely.
Okay, Yonat. So I want to talk more about your art now as well. So I also had the pleasure of going to the Bitcoin Museum whilst I was out in Nashville as well. And that is something awesome that Bitcoin Magazine, in particular Tommy, is putting on. And within there, just as you go round the corner, and the first thing you see is this majestic cloak that is on display there, and in fairness, it took my breath away because it's so unlike you walk into an art gallery, you see lots of paintings. There were lots of paintings there, I will give it that, but seeing this cloak, there was and I had a really good close look at it. In fact, I was there probably examining it for about 20 minutes, and I think at one point, they were worried I was going to put it on and run out the door with it, which I really wanted to do actually. And would have been incredible. But yeah,
It would really keep you warm in Wales, I
well,
think. So.
that's saying a lot as well, Yonat. I don't know what the temperatures are like here in Wales, but it looked quite a toasty coat. So in Nashville, probably I'd only make it 1 or 2 blocks before passing out
Yeah.
for sweating so much. But I just want to learn a little bit more about about that piece, because for me it was a really cool piece, and I think it'd be great if you could share some of the story of that with the actual audience here today as well.
So the story of this piece, it's part of the story that it's part of a series that I did. The first piece was actually the harpoon that kind of turned into this series of talking about the history and artifacts and special, um, special unique things that are in different places in Spain. Like, because Spain has different kind of, every region has their own specific culture. And so, the harpoon is from the Basque Country, and this cape is from a region that's called Zamora. And so this series about the harpoon and the cloak and the drum and the bagpipe is kind of like, let's tell the story, the history that I think talks or resonates with a lot of things in Bitcoin through artifacts that have a lot of history and meaning in them. And each part of this series is kind of like um, a meme or something important in Bitcoin culture. So this cape, so I was thinking I want to do something about hodlers. Hodl is one of the biggest memes probably in Bitcoin, or one of the biggest things that are words that are used. And the hodler is something that has so much importance in what Bitcoin is, in the future of Bitcoin, and to say I believe in this no matter what, right? I know this is going to change the world, and this isn't about I'm not going to trade this, I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin. This is about a mission. This is something that I believe in. And I thought a lot about how to portray this, the Bitcoin hodler. And I do a lot of research before I make my work. And I found out about these cloaks. And these cloaks, it's not really known the origin of them, but the biggest, it's most probably they came to Spain with the Roman soldiers that came here. So it was kind of like a cape that was worn by Roman soldiers, and then it was worn by monks in the same region, and now it's more of like a traditional cloak. So they wear it in like traditional festivals, or even in like family ceremonies. And but it's also worn by shepherds. So this area, it's in the northwest of Spain, so it is an area that its temperature is very much like, I was there because I always go to learn about the region and to talk to the people, and I was there around October, November, and I went to this Roman fort, and I got out of the car and I lasted about 2 minutes because it was freezing and there was wind, and so so these cloaks are also worn by shepherds today, in winter. um, and I thought, this story is perfect because it has the story of soldiers, that are protecting their citadel, of monks that believe in something, to the point where they're dedicating their life to it, and shepherds that are kind of like leading their flock, in a way that they believe, or, if we're taking it to a spiritual level, like they believe this is the right way. And all of these people wore this cloak. So I thought this is the hodler cape. And so these capes today, they're worn in like traditional ceremonies. And then, if you saw, they have these like black felt designs on them. So I was talking to the people that were in charge of the conservation of these cloaks, and to a seamstress that was just about to actually retire, and I like begged her to make the cloaks for me, and she said okay. It took a longer time, but she made them in the end. So I made the design. I was like, okay, can I change the design? And they said, yeah, of course, everyone can choose their own kind of like design. So I designed it differently. I did on the cape itself that goes on the head, I did like the Merkle tree, and then there's like a part that goes in the back that's like infinity divided by 21. And since, for me, it's like the order of the hodlers. So I also designed like a Bitcoin, like a, what do you call it? Like every order has their symbol, um,
Yeah, symbol or
their
sigil
it has a
or
name.
emblem or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So I designed like a Bitcoin one, which is like a hand that's holding the fire of Bitcoin, and then I embroidered that on each cape, and I embroidered, like I found a 24 karat gold thread, and then I embroidered that on parts of the cloak as well. So yeah, that's the story and there's 21. It's a series of 21, and yeah, the Bitcoin Museum has number 1. So that's the story of that.
Amazing to hear about it. I didn't know about all that, and I find it very fascinating how you are connecting like the culture from Spain and all this ancestral knowledge, or how to put it, and you're connecting it with Bitcoin, which is like it really is happening today, like right now, like it's not ended. We don't know where it's going, and I think that's a very beautiful concept to keep alive what is important, what we have done right in this new world that is gonna change so much. I find it very fascinating and very beautiful, and I would love to hear like if you can share us with us, like, or if you want to some upcoming projects or something new that you're planning, whatever top secrets you can reveal with us, that would be very cool.
I I have too many ideas that I don't have time to make all of them, but I think there's a few kind of series that I'm continuing. One is the latest paintings, the Bitcoin. They say Bitcoin is a joke, which is, I kind of went back to painting, and this is a series that kind of, like bringing humor into it, and the FUD that's around Bitcoin, and saying, oh, you think Bitcoin is a joke, so let's take kind of joke titles, like famous joke titles, like, why did the honey badger cross the road, and a bull, a whale, and a honey badger walked into a bar. So I'm continuing that series. I have a few paintings that I'm making. One, I was talking to Chief Monkey, who is brilliant and hilarious, and I was telling him my ideas, and he helped me, well, like perfect one of the titles. To I think just the title is enough. Like, I don't even think I need to make the painting. But so there's like a few more paintings in that series, and I've also been asked if I'm going to do more prints of the other paintings. So I did a 21 edition of the honey badger, and the why is Bitcoin difficulty so high. And I was asked about the other ones, if I will do 21 editions as well. So that's also something I plan on doing. And to continue the Spain like artifacts, I've been working on a triptych again with like two artisans in the south of Spain. It's been already 2 years almost that they're creating this like well, it's I actually got it a few, like 2 weeks ago. So this is so if who's ever been in the south of Europe in a church, like in a Catholic church, it's all, you know, carved, like wooden carvings, beautiful carvings with gold plate, and just like elaborate scenes, with wood. So I found one of these artisans that makes these like wooden carving, like triptychs and all the parts of the churches. And I designed like I designed the triptych, and he created it. And then another artisan did the gold plate on it. Again, all of this is like all handmade in traditional methods. Like the gold plating itself took a year to do, because of all the process and all the time it takes from one coat to another to dry. And the idea there is to do, one of my favorite artists is Hieronymus Bosch, and who, for those who don't know him, he was a painter that created these like fantasy scenes, that said so much about the time he was living in, but in such a like weird and funny and amazing way. And he was very, in that time, nobody did that. And one of his most famous pieces is the Garden of Earthly Delights. So I'm going to do the Garden of Decentralized Delights. So the Garden of Earthly Delights talks about the fate of humanity. So here I'm going to paint the fate of humanity in a decentralized world. And these are like the two big things. And then what I said in the beginning, this new project that I want to actually go out to people that don't know anything about Bitcoin, especially like pointed at women of all ages. So that's kind of a project that it's still in the idea phase. I'm trying to think how to reach out to them and to bring them into Bitcoin. So these are kind of like the three big lines I'm working on.
Yonat, where do you get all these ideas from? Because they're absolutely insane and crazy. And for anyone to go, do you know what? I'm going to start work on something, and it might be done in 3-4 years' time. That where does that come from in your brain? And also, if it does come from brain, do you think, oh gosh, here we go, I've committed 4 years of my life now to this piece?
I honestly, I don't really think about that because I kind of work on on different things at a time. So, I had this idea for the triptych, and then it's just this is the amount of time it's taking, and that's it, and that's just it's part of the story of this piece that it's taking all this time, and it just makes it more. I feel more connected to it in a way, and I'm here for the rest of my life. So it's not, I don't think about how long something will take me. It's just this is, I look at my art as just part of my life. So, it's just like another, I don't know, child, I guess. So I don't really think of how long things will take. They take however long they need to take. So
That's a very beautiful low time preference mentality you have there.
there's also I in I think it was in 2021 I bought 3 Byzantine like gold coins that were from a part of like the empire that was when it was like the hardest money then, even though it was still being devalued. And there are these beautiful like gold coins that have these like beautiful um engravings on them. And I also bought coins that are more like shit coins of the time. And that's just like sitting in my studio for the past 3 years because I still don't know what to do with them. So it's also kind of like I get these ideas of like, oh, look, there was an intention of creating hard money back you know, in the Byzantine Empire. Maybe, I can do something with this. And then I found these coins and I bought them, and yeah, they're just waiting for, well, I'm waiting for them to tell me what to do with them. So that's kind of like the process. I don't know.
We'll have to get you back on the Art of Freedom episode 255, and maybe we can then talk about the Byzantine generals' shitcoin problem, maybe.
Oh,
So that
wow.
would be good. Yeah, we can do that.
I didn't think of that question. Thank you.
we're here for a long time as well, Yonat. We're not going anywhere, and a lot of these
Yeah.
artists, that were in the gallery and the ones joining us in the room today here also believe that as well. I mean, this is we're in it for we're in it for a good time, but we're also in it for a long time as well. We have fun with what we do, which is really important. But the underlying messages that we're carrying forward hopefully can and spur on the next generation then to a kind of a brighter future. And that's something I feel very humbled and honoured to be part of.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year.
Well,
Next year I'm coming.
please, if you can, Yonat, that would be wonderful, because it's it's been an absolute joy to talk with you today. And as I said at the start of this interview, and happy to repeat here again for the people that are at the end, one of my favorite artists and artists I look up to, and I think how one of those artists, or like you just look at that, how the hell does she manage to do that? I just don't know. Is I look at your work with equal parts admiration and wonder. So I really appreciate you coming on today's show. Just before we head off, is there anything else that we haven't mentioned that you really think we should mention in on this show?
No, I don't know. I'm thank you so much for inviting me and for having me. And I think I love this show. I think it's really, really important that there's a show about art and about Bitcoin art. And I think the both of you do an incredible job at, you know, I think there's an art to to interviewing, and not everyone knows how to do it. And I think you do an incredible job of, like, getting to the essence of every artist, and I think that's what makes this show incredible. And I think people will learn this more and more in the future. And yeah, that's thank you.
Oh, thank you, Yonat. There, you got me tearing up here. I appreciate it. I appreciate what you do, and as long as people are listening, we'll keep making episodes. That's for certain. And we thoroughly enjoy it. And for me, and I guess Flo as well, is great. We also get to find out the stories behind our favorite artists, which just happen to be our friends as well, and we get to hang out together on Monday nights as well. So it's a great way of doing it, great way of promoting the message, and and a great way of getting your message out there, hopefully to more and more people, so more and more people can appreciate your art.
I wanted to say that I thank you so much for being here, Yonat. I
Florencia, do
also
you have
admire.
any other thing
Can you
to add
listen to
just
me?
before we close?
Can you listen to me or no? I don't think my mic is working. Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Flo?
I think my mic broke.
Not sure if Flo's gone down there. Thank you very much, Yonat. Really appreciate you being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. And
we
yeah,
need to hang out in the future. We need to be like the honey badger, and all his friends, the bull, and just go to the bar through, and have a drink and chill and chat. Because
no, definitely. I said a few years ago already that I think we should do a Bitcoin art weekend. No conference, not conference related, just Bitcoin art. Yeah, just hanging out together.
that would be
Anyone who's into it.
that'd be great. Let's do that. Bitcoin artists on tour. That'd be insane. That'd be really, really good. I'd be well up for that. Okay, thank you very much for joining us this week. That's Yonat Vaks. We've got some of the links to all of the art pieces there that are in the kind of links in the bottom right hand corner. So please go and check that out. It'd be well worth your time, and incredible stories told through our art. We are, as I say, the Art of Freedom now. We're up to episode 20 next week. We're really looking forward as well to getting on the time chain calendar. We've got a gallery on next week, so the Meditation Man. We're really looking forward to having a chat with him about his incredible work there about around time, and it's one sure you should be tuning in for. All that's left to say, I don't know if Flo, if you're still there or not, but have a wonderful week, everyone, and join us again next week, where we'll be talking more about Bitcoin art, its stories, the artists